Alright, what's going on, guys? Throughout the entirety of the lore of Elden Ring, there are very few things that are entirely understood, which is no surprise considering FromSoftware's history. However, Elden Ring in particular makes this much harder, playing with many concepts such as metaphysics, dual identities, illusions, and history of its world that's been overwritten by the victors. Some things are just not meant to be entirely understood, and the topic of today's video is one of those. Today we're taking a deep dive into one of Elden Ring's most mysterious characters that we only hear a handful of things about, that being the enigmatic deity of sleep, Saint Trina. And now that it has been confirmed by Miyazaki himself that Saint Trina will appear in the DLC, we need to go through everything we know about this character, that way we have a foundation of understanding when more becomes unraveled. But first, let me give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, V Rising, a one-of-a-kind vampire survival action RPG that is out now on Steam, but coming to PS5 very soon. Your journey in V Rising begins rising from your grave. In a search for blood to restore your vampiric power, you'll explore a vast open world in a fight against humans, monsters, and even worse, the sunlight. V Rising offers both a solo adventure along with co-op play, in a very unique aspect in allowing you to build your own gothic castle. There's something for every type of player in V Rising, and with overwhelmingly positive reviews across the board, this is definitely a game you'll want to check out. What stands out to me about V Rising are the unique abilities, allowing many different creative ways to play and making the combat look like an absolute blast. So you can get in on the action today and challenge Dracula yourself by checking out the links down in the description and the pinned comment. And once again, V Rising is out now on Steam and coming to PlayStation 5 just around the corner. So join me in saying a big thank you to V Rising for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get back into it. To begin our discussion today, we need to figure out where the references to Saint Trina come from. Fairly rare throughout the world, we'll find these glowing white flowers. These are Trina's lilies, and our first exposure into who this character is. The description of a Trina's lily reads as follows: a pale purple water lily that is on the verge of wilting, material used for crafting items, exceedingly rare to find. A symbol of faith in Saint Trina, dulls the senses, preventing agitation. And much like its namesake, instances of references to Trina are also exceedingly rare. But this Trina's lily is a key ingredient in crafting items associated with sleep. Sleep is one of the most powerful status effects in Elden Ring, rendering even some of the strongest enemies in the game unable to fight for a key moment. Now, in order to actually craft these items, you will need a series of cookbooks known as Fever's cookbooks, and the accompanying description of these reads: a record of crafting techniques left by a man who was utterly captivated by Saint Trina. He continued the search for her in his slumber. So this tells us a few interesting things, namely that Saint Trina is an entity able to visit people in their dreams, and we have an instance of someone becoming utterly captivated by Saint Trina. Now we'll come back to Fever and his cookbooks, but we learn the most about Saint Trina from the Saint Trina sword. There's a location in the early parts of Caelid called the Forsaken Ruins, where we find a large bounty of Trina's lilies, and in the hidden chest of these ruins, we find the sword of Saint Trina. It's a very ornate straight sword with lots of Saint Trina iconography, which we'll discuss further, but its unique ability is the Mist of Slumber, which sends out a cloud of purple mist that inflicts the sleep ailment, and we also see petals of Trina's lilies fly among the mist. The sword is also coated in this ailment and inflicts the status effect fairly quickly. But as for the design of the sword, we can see that the guard is two Trina's lilies, and the handle actually has a depiction of Saint Trina, a figure in a robe with long hair looking away. And the description gives us further details. It reads: silver sword carried by clerics of Saint Trina. Saint Trina is an enigmatic figure. Some say she is a comely young girl, others are sure he is a boy. The only certainty is that their appearance was as sudden as their disappearance. Now the sword states that it's carried by clerics of Saint Trina. However, we find this sword in a chest, and we don't see anybody in the entire game wielding one. So whoever these clerics of Saint Trina were, it seems they've since disappeared. But the other point to note in that description is that when Saint Trina appears, they're almost like a ghost, gone as soon as they arrive, with those visited being unable to determine their gender, arguing among themselves whether they're a boy or a girl. And that will be a key factor in determining the identity of Saint Trina, so keep that in mind. We have one other depiction of Saint Trina in the game, this time on the Saint Trina's torch, which can be found in the consecrated snowfields inside the chest on the back of a coffin cart. Saint Trina's torch is a fascinating tool. It lights the area with purple fire and allows the wielder to breathe that fire outward, burning with the same purple mist as seen with the sword. And those caught in this blaze are also put to sleep. But by far the most fascinating part about this torch is the description along with its appearance. It reads, "Candle stand torch that burns with a light purple flame. The carving depicts Saint Trina but in adult form, somewhat unnervingly. The light purple flame induces sleep." And this is the carving on the torch. A very odd depiction of a face with wild hair and one opened eye on the forehead. And according to that description, this is Saint Trina in adult form. Now this raises quite a bit of questions. Why do they feel the need to specify adult form? And why would Saint Trina in adult form be unnerving? Why is this a torch that induces sleep to begin with? Currently we don't have any of those answers, but one thing that can take us closer is unraveling the identity of Saint Trina. One observation in the lands between that a keen eye might notice is the similarity between Trina's lilies and Miquella's lilies. These flowers are virtually identical save for their color. Now granted they are both lilies, but they're a little too close to not raise some eyebrows. So based off that, we can start exploring connections between Miquella and Saint Trina. And for one of the most striking, let's remember Fever, the one who wrote the cookbook that uses Trina's lilies. That description told us that he became obsessed with Saint Trina and spent his time searching her out, recording his findings in the cookbook. We find 3 stages of Fever's cookbook in Elden Ring. The first 2 we find naturally in the world and create sleep items using Trina's lilies as ingredients. However, the 3rd stage of Fever's cookbook is entirely different. This cookbook only creates one item, that item being the Bewitching Branch, which is made from Miquella's lilies, features the Erdtree sigil, and has this description: tree branch blessed with an incantation of unalloyed gold. Pierce a foe using FP to turn them into a temporary ally. The Empyrean Miquella is loved by many people. Indeed, he has learned very well how to compel such affection. And we received this cookbook after reaching Mogwin Palace and finding the supposed body of Miquella. And now the story with Fever starts to make a bit more sense. Fever was utterly captivated by Saint Trina, something we don't really see in the other accounts. He went on this journey to find Saint Trina, but ultimately that journey led him to Miquella. And that very captivation that spurred this journey was not an ability of Saint Trina, but an ability of Miquella. Now let's look at something else. Following the path to Miquella's Erdtree in the consecrated snowfields, where throughout this area we find the wolf-riding Albinaric archers. And one of the unique aspects of these archers is that they shoot Trina's arrows, which themselves have a very interesting description. Arrow carved to resemble a withered water lily, afflicts targets with a powerful sleep effect. Priests of Saint Trina use these arrows to spread their teachings. The sweet oblivion of sleep can become quite the habit. So here we have the guardians of the Erdtree path using arrows of Saint Trina. With all these connections though, let's go back to a question we had about Saint Trina's torch and why it felt the need to specify that the depiction was of Saint Trina in adult form. Miquella in particular has a very unique curse. He was cursed to forever remain a child, and every depiction we see of him in game is of a child needing to be comforted. So based on all of this, if we entertain the idea that Miquella and Saint Trina are one and the same, well, that answers our question of why they specify adult form, but it would also explain how the gender gets confused. If Miquella is this young boy with long blonde hair, and they were only seen for a brief moment, then it would be very easy to assume they're a girl. It's entirely possible that Miquella and Saint Trina have a similar dynamic to Radagon and Marika, given that Miquella is an Empyrean, and Empyreans are known to have some sort of fluctuated existences. However, as we covered in the last video about Miyazaki's interview on the DLC, that exact question is something we'll be exploring in the DLC. But so far as the facts are concerned, that is all the information we currently have in-game about Saint Trina. A few big questions still remain. Why is adult Saint Trina unnerving, and why are they depicted as this sort of monster? Are Miquella and Saint Trina actually 2 separate beings, and are their wills aligned? There's a lot of routes we could go for speculation. However, for now I think it's best we stick with the facts as to not get our own headcanon screwed up or go in with some predetermined theories that aren't true. Which is also why I chose to leave out cut content in this video and only stick with what we currently have in the canon of the game, because for those of you that are unaware, there is a very big Saint Trina questline that was cut from the game that goes a bit further in the lore and outright confirms that Saint Trina is Miquella, but it's very likely that the DLC could overwrite that and take the relationship relationship in a different direction. But for now, with all the information in this video, you are up to speed on who Saint Trina is, and ready to meet this character in the Land of Shadow, as we now know we will. Whether that be as a friendly NPC, a scarcely mentioned name in more lore, or as a major boss we'll have to contend with. Only time will tell, and I for one am very ready to get some of these mysteries finally solved. But anyways though guys, that is going to do it for the video today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here. But with all that, I will catch you in the next one.